Okay, so I think the recording is started. Yeah. Okay. So now, if you remember that we have done quite a thing, quite a lot of topics regarding this regular languages and regular grammars and regular expressions. Okay, so if you remember, there are three things. That is, first is your finite automata. After there is some, this is your acceptor, and it is the acceptor of language. Keep that in mind. It is the acceptor of language, and that language is generated by something called a grammar. Okay, so this grammar is your generator. So this generator generates the language which is accepted by your finite automata. If you remember, the acceptor part is done completely. So if you remember, it is finite automata with output, without output, and your epsilon NFA, NFA and DFA, and Murray and Mealy. Okay, so that is the finite automata part. The languages is also done in very complete detail, where the identification of a regular language, we have done this type of questions, and also the represent a regular expression, we have done a numerous question for this time. Okay, in the similar way, the only thing that is remaining is this thing, that your grammar. Exactly what is a grammar and what exactly is a regular grammar. After in your syllabus, that there is no mention of regular language, regular grammar, but what I'll do, I will just go start with the basic grammar, exactly what is a basic grammar is, and then I will evolve towards the regular grammar. That is very easy. After regular grammar, inside it, I will also tell you about context free grammar. So specifically, this topic is given in your syllabus. But if you start with regular grammar, the context-free grammar is just a part of it. Okay, so first of all, you understand how to make a grammar. If you understand how to make a grammar, then you can easily make any grammar. It can be context-free, it can be regular, it can be unrestricted grammar also. So first of all, you have to learn that how to design a grammar for a particular language. Okay, so now this part that we haven't done, it is again based on the same thing. If you remember the definitions of NFA, like DFA, the definition of DFA, it is like something like five tuple definition, five tuple definition here. Murray-Mealy machine, it's a six tuple definition. And in the same way, the grammar is a four tuple definition here. Okay, so the four tuples are given here. That is your VTPS. Mostly this order is followed. So it is V or N. Okay, so keep that in mind. It can be a V or N. So it is one and the same thing. I will tell you everything about it. What is terminal? What is non-terminal? Don't panic now. Okay. So first of all, this V is called your non-terminals. Okay, so if you have done binary trees or trees in a in data structure, you've seen that there are some nodes that have been named specifically. So this is called your leaf node, and this is called your non-leaf node. Okay, so the leaf node are those node that does not have any kind of a children. Okay, so keep that in mind. Leaf node is that node which does not have any kind of a children. So this leaf node are also called. Okay, sorry for that. I think my connection just a little bit of shaky here. Okay, so now this particular node that is at the end of it, it is also called something called a terminal node. Terminal means it is just at the end, and after that there is no node here. So that is also called terminal node or a leaf node. In the similar way, this non-leaf is also called a non-terminal node. Okay, so non-terminal. Okay, so I will get back to the meaning here. What exactly is the meaning of terminal and non-terminal? If you're seeing, the meaning of terminal is just when you are standing at the end, is it's the meaning of the terminal. And non-terminal means that you are not at the end, you are in between. So just remember that part. I will first, when I will derive the grammar, I will tell you a little bit of detail about what exactly is terminal and what is not non-terminal. Okay, so now it is just saying that n or vn, it is also denoted by v, so don't worry about that. So v is called a non-terminal symbol. So this non-terminal symbol can easily be identified by just they are capital letters. Okay, so they are capital letters like is capital A, capital B, capital S, anything that is written in the form of capital in the grammar, it is supposed to be a non-terminal symbol. Keep that in mind. Non-terminal are capital, and terminal are small symbols like a small a, small b, small c, small d. Everything that is small in nature uh, will be a terminal symbol. Keep that in mind. Terminal and non-terminal is opposite of each other. Terminal symbols are small denoted by small letters, and non-terminal letter symbols are denoted by capital letters. In the similar way, starting symbol is that if you remember the starting final state is just as same thing, that whenever you have written some kind of a grammar, the starting symbol of that grammar is your start symbol. So don't worry about that. I will take example and I will explain you. So there are some production rules. Okay. So just let me take an example. This is an example of a grammar that is already established here. So as tends to AB, it means that as tends to AB, A tends to small a and B tends to a small b. Okay, so is this a grammar? Okay, so how can I identify it? I can identify it by V, T, P, and S. Okay, so if all the things are there in there, you can say that this is a grammar. Okay, so V is your non-terminal, I think. Yeah, non-terminal. So non-terminal are capital letters. So capital letters are there. So that is S, comma A, comma B. So this is V. Now T is your terminal. That is your small letters. So small letters are already there. Small a and small b. So that is also part. And just wait for that. And there is a start symbol. So start symbol, it means that it is starting from this symbol. So all the things that is written here is starting from this symbol S. So again, it can be S, it can be A, it can be B, it can be anything. So there is no compulsion that you should always denote it by S here, but it is most generally prefer that it should be F, but there is no compulsion. It can be A also. So you just write S equal to A. So starting symbol is the symbol to where your grammar is starting. So now only this thing is remaining, that is your production rules. Okay, so all the things that are given here are called your production rules. Okay, so now if I give you an analogy of that, because V, T, P, and S are already there, so I can call this a grammar. So this is a grammar because it follow all the four tuples that are there. Okay, so now you are seeing that S tends to A, B, A tends to small a, small b tends to B. That what exactly is the meaning of these things? Okay, so don't worry about that. That is your production rules. Okay, so if you remember, if I take an analogy of an English grammar. So what exactly is a English grammar? English grammar is a set of rules that governs the English language. So that is in the same way, this particular now in Automata or in TOC, there are numerous number of languages. So if I call that L1 equal to A raised to power n, so this is also a language. In the similar way, L2, suppose B raised to power n, this is also a language. In the similar way, I can say that L1 is equal to A plus B raised to power n, where n is greater than equal to 0. This is also a language. Okay, so there are three languages and there can be any number of languages. For every language, you have to write a particular grammar. Okay, so it means that whatever is generated by whatever the strings that is generated by this language, it is possible by the set of the rules that is given by this grammar. Okay, so I will you can write a particular grammar corresponding to the language A raised to power n, or you can write a particular grammar. So you cannot do not think that there is only one grammar exist for all the languages in the Automata. Keep that in mind. For every particular language, there is a particular grammar. So by the means of that language, by the means of that grammar, that language strings are generated. Okay, so now if you want to see how the strings are generated, I'll tell you how. Okay, so now there is an example. There is something called a derivation from a grammar. Okay, so if you remember that language, if I say that language is raised to power n, so which strings are the part of this language? It can be A, it can be AA, it can be AAA. So if you have designed a particular grammar for this L1, if you have designed a particular grammar corresponding to this L1, let me call it a G1. It means that this grammar G1, from this grammar G1, you can also derive the same number of strings if you want. Okay, so how the derivation takes place, it is given the derivation. What exactly is the derivation? The strings may be derived from other string using the production in the grammar. So production, something that is written like this as tends to a, this is a production. Okay, so it is also production single. Whenever there is a arrow written there as tends to a, it means that in place of s you can write a single a. It means that. Okay, so s tends to a means in place of s you can write a. Okay, so it means that this particular, if I say that this is a particular grammar and this grammar only represent a single this grammar only represents a single language that has a string that is a string. Okay, so that this is a now for this particular G2, this for this particular L2, this corresponding grammar is associated. So don't worry about that. I will tell you now. Just take example of that. So just let me take it to the other side on OneNote. Okay, okay. So now if you just take that, just clearly understand it, because this is the starting part of the grammar. If you understand it completely, that it will be very easy for you in the coming days, because all 2-3 lectures are based on grammars. Okay, so just if you have any kind of doubt, just write your queries on the chat box here. Just let me check if you have any kind of doubt right now. Okay, I will check this thing periodically, don't worry about that. Okay, okay. Now suppose this is this, can I call this a grammar? So these are some production rules that are given. So I can only call this a grammar if it has VTPS. Okay, so V is your non-terminal. So non-terminal, I think that there are capital letters, that is your S, that is your B. So terminal, that is also A, small a and small b is also there. So that is also correct. Production rules are already designed. So everything that is written in an arrow is a part of the production rules. Keep that in mind. It is a rule. Following that rule, you will be able to derive a particular language. Okay. So now the start symbol is already given, that is S here. Okay. So now what I want to say, that you should derive a string something like AA BB. Okay, so how can you derive a string? So that just understand the understand it. How can I derive AABB from this production rules? Okay, so this I can call it a grammar that is given by this production rules. Okay, so now in place of just start with the start symbol, always start with the start symbol, that is your S. So only this is the start symbol, that S, that the S is also given below here. So it is one and the same thing. So only just whenever the production rules are given, the starting production rules and the variable of the starting production rule is the start symbol. Okay, so don't worry about that. If there is another S in the production, it just means that it is saying ASB, or it can also go to AB. So it just means that. Okay, so if I'm writing it differently, it doesn't mean anything else. It just means that okay, so you can also combine it. So this is not a different S, this is the same S. Okay, so you can write it differently, as well as you can combine it by writing a slash here. Okay, so I'm starting with the starting symbol, that is my S. That S tends to A S B. Now A is already derived here. If you see, A is already derived here. I need another A. So another A I can get from another A from by putting the value of S. So see how we on which variables you can put the value. You can put the value on S, you can put the value on B. Okay, so all the left hand, if you see on the left hand side, these are the variables to which the corresponding values can be put. Okay, so now if I take this S, it will become, so this S will become A. In place of this S, I can put ASB, ASB, now followed by a B. So I didn't do anything. I just substitute the value of S to ASB. Okay. So now if you're seeing now there is another S, there is another B, there is another B. Okay. So what can I do? I can also follow this this small b, this s here. By using this as I can get another a, so that I do not want, because I only want two a's. Okay, so I think I cannot, if I substitute the value of s as ab here from this one, there will be three a's. I do not want that, so I think that there is a problem in that. So again I will backtrack it, and again a s b. Now a is already in the expression, I need another a, so another a can also be obtained from this a. Okay, so in place of s you can put ab, so put a big b and then another b. Okay, so now what you want in place of b, now two a's are there, in place of b you want a single b. Okay, so it can be, if you see here, the single b is can be put here. Okay, so it means that in place of b, capital B, you can put a single b. After that another take, you can put both of them in that, but uh, just prefer it, I will prefer that if you put the in the next one. Okay, so this b can also be put as a single b. Okay, so I am able to derive, if you're clearly seeing, I am able to derive a b b. So whenever you are deriving it, that part, that in between forms, that is starting from the first one. Okay, so in between forms, that whenever you didn't got the answer, that thing is called your sentential forms. Okay, sentential. That thing is called your sentential forms. Keep that in mind. It is also called sentential or sequential forms, but you will find this keyword in most of the books. So sentential forms are the forms that are intermediate forms when we are deriving a particular string in a production rules. Okay, so that s is also included in that. Keep that in mind, as, and this is also part of the sentential. This is also part, and this is also part. So this 1 to 3 are called sentential forms. Okay, so now what exactly are you seeing? You can also derive it by using a tree. Now I will get my get to the thing that why it is called a terminal and why it is called a non-terminal. Now what you see, now s is your starting point, and now I want to derive a string that is my a b b. Okay, so in place of s I can write a s and b. Yeah, okay, so now there is another, in place of this s I can write a big B. Okay, in the similar way, in place of B you can substitute small b and small b. Okay, so now this is the most important part. Just hear me out for 5 minutes, next 5 minutes. Now there is something called parsing of a tree. Okay, so you already have seen this in data structures also. If you have studied compiler design, or if you have studied C, you have also seen this, how to parse a tree. Okay, so that rule is always exist in any subject. It, with the parsing of the tree, will always be done like this: left to right, top to bottom. Okay, left to right and top to bottom. Okay, so now what exactly is the meaning of this? I will parse the tree now. So I will start from the start symbol, and I will start from here, and left to right and top to bottom. So just go from top to bottom. So I find a terminal symbol here. So what is the terminal symbol here? A. So I write A here. In the similar way, top, now you reach at the bottom. So again go towards to right. So I'm going towards right. And then there is another terminal symbol. Yeah, this is another terminal symbol, and this is a small letter. So write A here again. In the similar way, left to right. Now you are again at the bottom of the tree. Again move towards the right. So right, I'm moving towards the right, and there is again a terminal symbol, that is your B. So write a B here, and again move towards the right and parse every possible terminal or non-terminal symbol you find. And at again you always stop at a terminal symbol. So that is again a B, and that you stop and write a B, and then you parse it again. Okay, so that technique, left to right and top to bottom, is always followed in every, if you seen data structure trees, and if you see compiler design, if you have studied about ambiguity, how to remove the ambiguity in grammars. You will also find this kind of a syntax tree. Then they will always be parsed like that, left to right and top to bottom. Now, if you clearly seeing uh, here, why exactly this is called a terminal here. So if you are seeing at the end of every node, there are terminal symbols here. So why it is called a terminal symbol? Because if you remember, at the end, when there is no children to a particular node, that particular node is called a terminal node. Okay, so that is why uh, you will always end in a terminal symbol in a tree. Okay, so if you are not ending in a terminal symbol, suppose if I draw a tree like this, a S B, and I stop it. Okay, so I stop it. If I parse it, I will only get a terminal symbol, that is A, and I will not get any other thing, because the parsing is only done on the terminal nodes that have small letters. Okay, so it means that if you want to parse a tree, your terminal nodes will always contain a small letters. Why I'm saying that? Because why are you designing a grammar? Exactly, what is the meaning of designing a grammar? To generate a language. Now, what exactly the language generates? It is the language generates strings. The strings will always be in small letters. Okay, so if you are seeing, if in any kind of a language, I say that language L1 e raised to power n, if you're seeing the strings, that the strings that are a part of this particular language will be that it is not like A S B. The capital letters will not be a part. So that is why these are called terminal symbol. So always start your parsing whenever at the end of the node you got a terminal symbol. Okay, so this kind of a parsing is not a valid parsing, because the end of the node you're not getting a terminal symbol. So this is a non-terminal symbol. So that is why this is the sole reason why this capital letters are called a non-terminal symbol, because we do not want non-terminal symbol at the terminal node. We always want terminal symbols at the terminal node. If terminal symbols are found at the terminal node, only then you go ahead and perform a parsing of the tree. If it is not there, you just leave it and try to go to that part where the non-terminal symbol exists and turn it into a non-terminal. Okay, so sorry, go to that part where non-terminal symbol exists and turn it to a terminal symbol by using this production rules. Okay, so this production rule, this particular grammar, from this particular grammar we are able to derive. So this is a particular string. So I'm not saying that what exactly is the language that is associated with that. I cannot say right now, but I'm saying that I can, from this particular production rule, I can be able to derive a particular set of strings. That is my AABB. You can also derive another strings, but I'm solely focusing on that. Okay, so now this is called your derivation tree. So this is called your derivation tree, and the yield of derivation tree. Yield meaning derivation tree. Just let me write dt. Okay, so yield of derivation tree, it just what it outputs. So it outputs AABB. Okay, so if you sow a plant, the yield of a plant will be the fruit that you get from the plant. In the same way, in this derivation tree, what is the output you are getting from this derivation tree is the terminal symbols, that is AA and BB. So the yield of this derivation tree is AABB. So do not get confused in that keyword yield. Many books use it, but not many books use it. So only one or two books have used this kind of a terminology. So that is why I want to make aware you of that. Okay, so now our next motive, if you are clearly seeing, I have given you a grammar for a particular language, and I do not know what exactly the language is. I only derived a one string here from this language. I from this grammar I only derived one string from this. Okay, so you can derive a multiple strings by using this method, or you can by directly seeing from this sentential forms. You can also see that what kind of a strings it is generating, and you can see that by based on that language, you can, based on the strings that a particular language is generating, that a particular grammar is generating, you can say that what exactly is a language. Okay, so now I will repeat myself a little bit of here, that grammar is nothing.
Excuse me, sir.
Grammar, yeah, if you have any kind of question.
Yes, sir. So, like in the decision tree above,
Hmm.
in this second level,
In
you
the
just
derivation tree.
yes, sir. The derivation tree. In this second level, like the place where you have put s equal to ab. That was just
Mhm.
a second thing. We cannot use this asb, the like the first thing that was given to us.
Yeah, you can use it, but my motive is to derive AABB. Okay, so if again I take this derivative tree, if I write ASB, you can write ASB. There is no worry about that. ASB. But now if I do this now, only AA I will get. But if I want to derive AABB, now this S is corresponding to again AB or ASB. Okay, so I already got two A's. I want to derive AABB. Okay, so I already got two A's. I do not want extra A. So I am kind of a stuck here. Okay, so I have to put the value of this because this is a non-terminal symbol and this is also a non-terminal symbol. So to get to a terminal symbol, I have to put AB or ASB. Okay, so if I put AB here, so it will generate a completely different string. So that will be AB. Now in place of B, you can put a small b because if you see this production correspond to small b. So now this will be your small b and small b. So that is also a correct derivation tree, but that derivation tree will generate A, and then B, B, B. Three A's and three B's. Okay, so that is only the part here. There is no doubt about it. You can also derive it. But if I want to derive a particular string, I have to see all the possible combination. Okay, so if I tell you to derive AABB from this, that this is the only derivation tree possible uh, for that scenario. Okay.
Okay, sir, got it.
Okay, so now if I just repeat myself, now what exactly is a grammar? So grammar is a set of rules in TOC. I'm talking about grammar. In English grammar, there is only one language, English. So for English language, the English grammar is the set of the rules that the English language follows. Okay, but in TOC, uh, grammar is a set of rules for a particular language. Grammar is a set of rules for a particular language. Okay, so this is all informal. Like there is nothing written like that. So just it is a little bit of, if I give you this kind of a thing, you will understand it very quickly because already I will provide you the formal definition that is already given in the PPT. Don't worry about that. Okay, so grammar is a set of rules for a particular language. Okay, so understand this. Particular language means that in TOC there are many languages, and for every language there will be a corresponding grammar. Okay, so suppose I take a language, I just reverse engineer from a language, I will go towards a grammar here. So just take the language of the starting like this one, A, B, I think, and AB. Okay. So if you see that this is the language that it contains set of all strings where the input alphabet is A and B, and it contains exactly two length string, exactly two length string. Okay, so this is one of the starting question that we have already done. Okay, exactly two length string. Okay, so to design a grammar corresponding to that language, so the easiest thing is you write a start symbol, and you just write A, B, BB, or BB, or AB. Okay, so now this is corresponding grammar. So this is G1, that is corresponding to this language. Now why is this corresponding to this language? Because by using this production rules, if you remember, this is production rule, you will get all the strings that is generated by the language. Okay, so now again check all the things VTPS. If all of the four things are there, you can say that this is also a valid grammar. Okay, so V is your terminal, non-terminal, sorry, T for terminal, keep that in mind, T for terminal, and T is small. Okay, T is small, TS. Okay, remember it, TS, but I do not think you do not need to remember it, because if you see that terminal node, if you remember, terminal node do not have any children. So how will you read as the terminal node if the letter is small? Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, so it is small. So V is, I think, only S capital letter is here. For T, there is AB. Yeah, small letters are AB. Production rules are already given here. So if any single statement is also there with this arrow, you can say that this is a production rule, and starting symbol is already there. So this is the starting symbol that is given by S. You can also write this in a fancy way, like if you want to write like this: S equal to AA, S equal to BA, S equal to BB. So this is also a valid grammar. Okay, so this is also correct. Okay, so but if you want to write in a way that it is a very efficient representation, this is correct, don't worry about it. This is also correct, you can also write this, that is not wrong. Okay, so in the similar way that we have done that for a particular kind of finite automata, there are for a particular kind of a language, there are multiple finite automata possible. Okay, in the similar way, for a particular language, there are multiple grammars are possible. Okay, so if you are deriving any grammar, just let me know. I will again tell you the same way by saying that this particular kind of a string is not generated by your grammar. That is why it is wrong. Okay, so don't worry about it. It can be correct also, it can be wrong also. Okay, so it is not only there that whatever grammar I am deriving is always is not the only one, only correct grammar. There can be multiple correct grammars. Okay, so in the similar way, how I will what is the efficient representation? This is correct, but how to efficiently represent it? Okay, so if you have studied the regular expression, I will start if you I will start it with the basic one, and I try to give it a shape. Okay, so now how can you give a shape? You know that for this a regular expression can be written like this: uh, a plus b, a plus b. Okay, so all the strings can be derived from that. Okay, so it means that this is a one length string, this is a two length string. Okay, so you can put a variable here a, and there is another variable because it is one and the same thing, a plus b and a plus b. So this is that because if you are assigning a to a plus b, so it is the same thing, so you should assign again the same thing as a to this. Okay, so start with the symbols s equal to, now the two symbols are a and a. Now what exactly is a? A is either a or b. Okay, so now this is the efficient representation of the same thing. Okay, so if you want to check it, check it. So s a, so you can derive from this one, you have to derive a small a, and from this one you have to derive a small a. Just parse it from top to bottom, left to right, you get a and you get a b. Okay, so this is done. Now another parse tree will be a, from this one you get a b, from this one you get a. So you just top to bottom, left to right, get a terminal, stop, get a terminal, stop, write it, and then. Okay, in the same way, I think you get the point here. So it will be b and b. In the same way for this one, it will be I think a and b. Okay, so in the similar way, this language is efficiently represented in this way. If you're seeing, I just taken one particular regular expression, one part, and I am assigning a variable to it. Okay, so if you are assigning a variable to this one, you are saying that if a is equal to a plus b, then you do not change the variable again. Okay, so again a corresponding to the same thing, a plus b, so that is why I write the same here. So this represent that this is my one length and this is my second length, and that corresponding that a correspond to a or b. Okay, so that is the efficient grammar for this particular case. Okay, so I will tell you three building blocks that is very important and that are readily repeated again and again in any kind of a question. So I just designed, I just taken out three building blocks. So the first building block, so if you understand these three building blocks all the time, they are they are widely used. Okay, so just keep in mind that I will again tell you. So this is the first building block, a raised to power n, where n is greater than equal to 0. Okay, so this kind of a thing is used in many languages, like a raised to power n, b raised to power n, b raised to power n, c raised to power n. So many kind of questions are based on this kind of a thing. So that is a very important building block. You will see all in almost all the questions sometimes something like this will always be given. Okay, so now you know what exactly the language for this corresponding will be. It will be a single a, and any number of these. Okay, so you know about this. Okay, so how to write a grammar corresponding to that. So there is also epsilon. Keep that in mind. There is also epsilon. So epsilon, by using this, keep that in mind. Epsilon is also a terminal symbol. Okay, so it is a part of the string. It is part of the language. So epsilon is also a terminal symbol. Keep that in mind. Okay, so now what you can do, you can easily do this by using use start symbol. Write it like this: a s, and epsilon is also in the language. You can write it. Okay, so or you can also draw the grammar like this: s tends to sa, and you can also write a epsilon here. Okay, so this is a basic grammar that is corresponding to that. If you want to see it, you just see s tends to a s. So if you want epsilon in the starting, so s is also going towards the epsilon here, so you can write epsilon directly. So epsilon is you can get epsilon from it. If you want a single a, you will get from writing epsilon here, because s was also tending to epsilon. So left top to bottom, left to right, so you will get a from this one. If you want two a's, what you do, a raised to power. Okay, so from that, you in the end you put a epsilon, because this is because it should always end in terminal symbol. So top to bottom, right, left to right, you will get a and epsilon. So a and epsilon. So epsilon does not think, epsilon does not occupy any space, so you can say that a, you can derive a also. So in the similar way, you can derive anything: as any number of a's, and if you want to stop, you just write a epsilon. So all the strings uh, that are given in the language are extracted from this language, this grammar. Okay, so these are the, because the parse tree are formed in such a way that you can generate any number of a's here. Okay, so if you want to stop, so stop with epsilon. Okay, so that is why these are called your production rules, because these rules are making sure that your language will be generated based on these rules. Okay, so now again you can use another variables also. So if this is correct, so something like this: a equal to a or epsilon, or you can also write a here. So in this, the starting symbol will be your a. So keep that in mind. There is no compulsion that your starting symbol will always be s. It can be a also, b also, c also, any variable, but it will be capital. Okay, so the starting symbol is always a non-terminal symbol. Keep that in mind. Okay, the similar way you can see this one also: s tends to sa, SA, SA. If you're clearly seeing top to bottom, so if you have to write epsilon here, top to bottom, this is your epsilon, and then your A, and then your A, and then your A, and then the complete. Okay, so the triple A's can also be extracted from this position. Okay, so this is only a variable, so keep that in mind. This is S and this is S, this is S and this is S. In the similar way, this is A, this is A, this is A, this is A. Okay, so this signifies that you can generate any number of A's if the left hand side is equal to the extreme right hand side. Okay, so if this symbol is a, this symbol is also a. That is why you can again you are forming a cycle again and again, and to stop that cycle, you can put a terminal symbol, that is your epsilon. Okay, so that is the first building block. Keep that in mind. I will tell you about the second building block. Okay, so I will tell you about third building block a little bit of later time, but after telling a second building block, you should try to derive the grammar yourself. Okay, second building block is it is also based on this thing: a plus b raised to power star. Okay, so this kind of a regular expression, this kind of a expression is always, most of the time, is always given in the languages. Okay, so how to draw a grammar for this one? Okay, so it is, again, if you're seeing, it can also be written like a star plus a b star followed by a star. So it means that it is there. If I can write a raised to power n plus b raised to power m plus b raised to power n o. Okay, so it can be written like it. Okay, there is a star. There is no dependency between any of the symbols. Okay, so keep that in mind. If this is n, this is m, and this is o. Okay, so you can write from this one if you remember. So this is a raised to power n. So how to write a raised to power n? If you are starting with s here, so you write a s. How can you write b raised to power m? So write b s, and you have to stop also. So for stopping, you write the epsilon here. So again, because a raised to power star means that it is 0 is also in there. So I need a epsilon in the starting of the language. Okay. So again, you will be thinking that it will be only deriving those strings like a b b, but after b a cannot come. You will be thinking that, but if you can surely see it for yourself. Okay, so now we take a I want to derive this one a b b. After bb a should also come. Okay, so how can you derive it? So take the derivation tree and I write single a, I get it, and I want another A. So another A, I will also get it. So now two A's are there. I now want two B's. Okay, so how can you get two B's? BS and BS. Okay, so now I want another set of two A's. Okay, so how can you get two A's? You again put the value of S as AS and AS. Okay, so in the end, just stop it. So how can you stop it? By using epsilon. Okay, so there's a parse it. You will get A, B, B, A, epsilon, and then there is no terminal here, so it will go as it is. Okay, so it can be derived here. Okay, so keep that in mind. The particular grammar for this second building block a plus b star is as, bs, and epsilon. For a, you can also write it like this, or the variable can always be changed. It can be a, ba, or epsilon. Okay, so there is no do not worry about the variable can be anything. Okay, so now you try to write the language grammar for this one. Okay, so this is my third question. Okay, so third question, I think fourth question. Just let me see. First, second. So this is my second question. First building block, second question. Third building block, second building block, third question, and this is your fourth question. Okay, so fourth question is just write the set of string where the length of the string is at least 2. Okay, so at least 2 length string will be there in the language. Okay, so if I try to write a regular expression, it will be a plus b followed by a plus b, then a plus b star. Okay, so just try it yourself, take like 5 minutes and tell me what exactly be the grammar corresponding to that one. Okay, so just try it and post your solution in the chat box.
Sir, sir,
Yes.
sir, I had it out in an exam question. Sir,
Okay.
according to slides that you have given for the Thomson construction method, the slides say that the method is used to convert a regular expression into a non-deterministic final automata, that is an NFA.
Ah,
But sir, there was a question of a false where we have to take the false statements. In it was given Thomson construction method is used to convert a regular expression into a DFA, epsilon NFA or NFA. But according to definition, it should be NFA only. So it should be false, but the option is not marked as correct.
Okay. Yeah, you are because acha. Okay, so Thompson construction method, you can also NFA epsilon NFA can be converted, but DFA I don't think DFA is possible. So that is why this is slash here. So it is just telling either it can be converted into a DFA or, but
Yes, sir.
yeah, you
That's
are
why
correct.
it should be
You are
false,
correct.
right?
You are
Yeah.
correct. You are correct. Okay. So I will check it also. Don't worry about that. Just post it on the thread. Okay.
Okay, sir. I'll just post it here.
You are correct. You are correct. Okay. So to derive the grammar corresponding to that one, what you should do, just consider this as a variable. So this is one length, this is two length, and this is the 3, 4, 5 length because there is a star here. So you already know how to design this one. So this is your second building block if you remember. So just write. So yeah, this is your second building block. Yeah, this one. Okay. So this is already there. So I think you can easily design for this one. So for this first two, I think you have already done it in this question. This question you have already done it. Okay. So how to write it? So consider this one as a variable. That is my a variable. This one is also another variable because this is a plus b. This is a plus b. So the variable name will be same. And this is a different because it is not a plus b, it is a plus b star. So this is different from these variables. So I just assign another variable like a b here. Okay. So now start with a variable s start variable, and it is tending towards a b. Now a is corresponding to a or b, and b is corresponding to uh, your a plus b star. Now what is a plus b star? If you remember, if there is there is a here and there is a here. So just write it like this: uh, b b uh, a b b b. This is a b, this is a b, this is a b, this is a b, and in that there is an answer. Okay, so that is the corresponding grammar that pertains to that. Okay, in the similar way, if you understood this, just try to write the regular expression for this one. That at most, I think you can easily be able to write it at most two length strings. Okay, so if I write a regular expression for this one, because it is at most two length, so it is a plus b plus epsilon and a plus b plus epsilon. Okay, so just try to write it and see it. Take like 2-3 minutes and try to solve it. Okay, so I think Varun has drawn another. Okay, so just let me see if it is correct or not. So the expression that is given by Varun is a s, and then there is a b s. Okay, so Varun, your expression is incomplete. I think you just I think you just want to derive a also like this one, a and b. Okay, so for this one, what is this e? What is this e? Just correct it. I think there is a little bit of a discrepancy here. Okay, so first of all, you should remember that always if you start with this AAS, you will not be able to reach a terminal symbol. You will not be able to derive any string because uh, if I write, if you do not write the what is capital A. Okay, so if I write a capital A again, this is again stuck here at S. So at S cannot be go to non-terminal one. So you have to take it a epsilon here. So that is how you can eliminate from this one. Okay, so there's a little bit of tuning required in this. Okay, so I think Brijesh has given the right. Yeah, absolutely correct. Given by Brijesh is that it is one length string and this is two length string. So keep that in mind. There is epsilon also. So because if you consider this as variable a, so this is also variable a. Okay, so now take the starting symbol and write two variables, and this, what is this a? This a is a slash b slash apps. Okay, so that is also correct one, that is correctly given by Brijesh. Okay, so well done. Okay, so now again we will do the next question in the coming lecture. So I just want to declare something that tomorrow there is a lecture on 1:30, and I will not be taking your lecture because I am on leave tomorrow, for tomorrow. And just let me see